1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Hey screeners, welcome back to another episode. I'm Ricky.
And I'm Brittany.
And we are
Paper Screen.
So Brittany, what have you been up to?
Well, I actually just saw The Boy and the Heron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's Hayao Miyazaki's newest movie. I mean, it's like every movie he releases is like his last.
Yeah.
He's old as fuck. Also, there's like this scene where this like old lady gets her hands on some cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching it, and he's, you know what he looks like and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's like old. He's really old. He's a chain smoker.
Oh.
And I like look at, and I'm like, but we can't, because it'll like kill us. But like this dude, do you get what I'm saying?
How's he still alive?
I'm like, that's not fair. But it's during wartime. Hayao Miyazaki, you know. Pretty sure he was there for all that shit. So, because he did like Grave of Fireflies, you know. It's heavy stuff.
I'll have to check it out.
How about you? What have you been up to?
I'm actually working on a short film, like editing a short film for a couple friends.
Nice.
It's a film that's kind of like slice of life, but I can't say too much about it, but it's in post. I'm helping them out.
Ooh.
So it is, I don't know what you would call it, maybe a dramedy, comedy slice of life. But yeah, that's all I've been up to. That's my life.
Well, what are we talking about today?
Well, today in this episode, we're going to be talking about the most anticipated film by A24, and that is The Iron Claw. For those who don't know much about this film, it's based on the true story of the Von Erich brothers, who made history in the intense competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. And it's starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White from The Bear, Harris Dickinson, Stanley Simons, and Lily James from Pam and Tommy. This is written and directed by Sean Durkin, who also did Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, and The Nest. So let's talk about our movie experience, because
Yes.
I feel like we both have different experiences, even though we both saw this at the same screening.
Literally right next to each other. All right, so I went to it not knowing much other than it's obviously a wrestling. I think I did see the trailer for this, or the teaser, which was a neat teaser. It's the part where he's like bouncing on the wrestling things, bungee cords. I don't know what they're called.
The ring.
The ring. and I'm like, all right, we gotta see it, you know, maybe it'll surprise us, like maybe. And we're sitting there, and like in the first scene, the whole first sequence is like this black and white flashback. I'm like, wow, this is art. Like, this is fucking good.
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, like right away I was like, ooh, they did a really good job with the black and white. And I think that's like really strong starting point. Like, hey, this is like a fucking movie.
I totally forgot that the opening was in black and white
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, because the dad is the one that's like in the ring.
Yeah, and he's doing his move called the Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Cringe.
Which is cringe. Never been done before.
I thought the movie was great.
So this is my experience. Also, I didn't know much of the story either. I didn't know that the movie was about brothers and brotherhood. I really thought it was just like a wrestling movie about a heroic story about this guy who's wrestling. I didn't know there was like a whole family dynamic. You were the one that invited me to the screening because you had a free ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with you because I was like, I'm gonna do this for the podcast. Brittany wanted to sit in the fucking closest
Gosh.
seat to the screen. And I found it very jarring in the beginning because of how it was shot. And because it was like all intense close-ups and the shaky camera work, I was like, I hope the movie is not gonna be like this because I'm about to vomit. Vomit my free popcorn.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because I was asking you like what time it was during the movie.
You did. I that's when I know if like Ricky loves a movie or not, is if he leans over and goes, "What time is it?"
Well, it was like 45 minutes into the movie, and I was like, but it wasn't because it was bad. It was because I was like feeling nauseous.
Fuck. I guess I didn't realize that. That sucks. We should have moved. Was it
we
full?
Yeah, it was a full packed theater.
Well, okay.
And it smelled like gross men who didn't shower.
It smelled like wrestlers.
Yeah, it smelled like a dirty jock strap. No, but then the movie kind of gets more interesting, like past the 45-minute point.
The whole beginning is like, here's this family, here's what the business is, like.
Here's Zac Efron.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. When it first shows him and he gets out of bed,
his legs.
He looks like he's going to pop.
Yeah, because of his veins and shit are popping out.
He looks, you guys, he looks insane. Do we know if it was a costume or was it 100% his body?
No, that was his body.
Like,
I'm pretty sure he worked out like, well, maybe there were drugs involved.
There's got to be some droids in that. Yeah.
Because he was too ripped. He looks like He-Man.
Yeah, literally exactly. The hair.
The hair.
Dude, I know. I wonder, he's had to have heard that.
Yeah.
I was kind of worried because you don't know. He kind of like showed up in the press like a year or two ago and he looks really different. Like his jaw and his lips. And it was like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. He
looks more like the guy who's in Baywatch.
David Hasselhoff?
Yes, David Hasselhoff. Like kind of more of that look. Zach was like a very handsome, natural beauty. I mean, everyone is. Everyone's beautiful. But so it was like, wait, why did he do that? What's happening? And then later it was like, oh, he like got in an accident and like fucked up his jaw. But so, and then I see the movie trailer and he looks like He-Man because he's like super fucking ripped. He's got this perfectly like square face now. And then this like bowl cut. Mm-hmm. And I would say after a few minutes, I was fine with it in the movie. It wasn't like jarring to me. I was worried the whole movie it was going to be like looking at it.
Distracting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got past it. I was like, well, that's just his character. Back to my experience. Overall, I really liked it. Once the movie shifted into the whole family dynamic, I was like, oh, wow, this is really heavy. Yeah, I think Zac Efron was like really good in this.
I think he totally transformed. I think he did the character really good justice. I think he did a lot of acting without having to speak. With them muscles. No, I'm just kidding.
It was like the physical part.
Yeah. But I think he, even with everything else, I think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
Like there's so many scenes where you can tell what his thoughts are without him having to like say them out loud and stuff.
So what was the budget for this?
This one was $15 million. So that's the reported budget. But it's interesting because I saw like before the budget was released, everyone thought it was like 20.
Yeah, honestly, it looks more expensive than that.
I know.
Because that's like just like a few thousand from Talk to Me's budget. It was probably the talent. They had to pay for the talent.
Yeah, let's be real. So it's only been in the theaters for 7 days and it's made 5.1 million.
Since its release. Wow.
Yeah.
Which of the brothers did you think was hot?
You're so funny.
This was like Brittany's question when she asked me in the movie theater. And why is it Jeremy?
Because I was gonna say probably the one, like as far as their looks go in this movie, probably the one who was in Triangle of Sadness. Yeah, because Jeremy Allen White cannot do long hair. It's a little too much of a specific look. And then Zac Efron, it can't. And then the other brother
you
doesn't
can't get
count.
past the He-Man.
No.
I would agree that like Harris Dickinson is attractive, and also I felt like more for his character.
Yeah, he was a very likable character.
Yeah.
Well, the screening we went to, the director was there, so we got a little bit more insight as far as like how this movie was made, why it was made. This is going to be a lot of spoilers, and I really hope you should see the movie because it's good. The director, I think he said he liked wrestling, right?
Growing up, he would watch it.
And he was like, I have to tell this family story, and he reached out to
Kevin Von Erich
and was like, this is what I want to do. And apparently Kevin was like totally down. He was just like, you have to make sure you show that we brothers just like really loved each other. And the director was like, that's exactly what I'm going for. I think that can be something challenging in a movie, like make the audience care about this family or like the relationship of these boys. But I think they did a really good job just by having like when they pick up their little brother and they go tubing down the river, just like brothers, like they're each other's friends.
Mm-hmm.
It was really sweet.
Yeah. When they first introduced the first three,
mm-hmm.
Kevin and then David and Mike, who's the youngest one.
Mm-hmm.
So we only get introduced to the first three. David and Kevin, they're like already in this wrestling world because of their dad. And what's interesting is that Mike, who's the youngest one, he was more of like the artsy musician.
Mm-hmm.
He was nothing like his brothers.
Right.
And I felt for his character. I felt really bad because like the dad, who's like basically the villain in this, their dad pushed them into this industry, and there's a lot of pressure in that. And Mike, he feels a lot of pressure and judgment from his dad. Because remember the dad, like right off the bat, you need to figure out what you want to do, what you're good at, which is like wrestling.
He's just like a teenager and the dad's like, you're not eating enough because you need to eat a lot of protein and lift weights, essentially, like bulk up, they call it. And the kid is just like, he's got a great sense of humor. He's a musician. And
he's just a little baby.
Just a baby boy.
Like still trying to figure out what he's doing in the world.
Yeah, and it's like one of those families, they probably never thought they had an option. Where this kid is like young enough to where maybe he hasn't accepted the reality of his situation.
The dad, what a piece of shit.
Total piece of shit.
Kevin he's like the main focus.
Yeah.
And he's driving the story, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I know it had to happen because he's the only one left.
We need a protagonist.
Yeah,
it was interesting because he had his own shit, and he had a relationship with the brothers, relationship with the father. But yeah, it's just like the way the story goes, it's just like, whoa. Like you find out like he has to be the protagonist.
And he's the oldest one.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh.
I had to look it up just to make sure, but
so what's the order? Him,
and then David, and then Carrie and Mike. But then there's other brothers. I think the director said in the original script had more.
There was
the other Von Erich brothers.
Yeah, there's two. One they never mention in the movie at all.
Yep.
Because it was too tragic.
He died at like the age of 21 or something.
It's just weird because so did one of the other brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why was that one specifically tragic? There must be more to his like, or they didn't want to show two.
Yeah, probably. Just because like the movie's already a downer, so like to add a fifth brother, it's like, okay, now you're doing way too much.
Yeah, these guys really were just swole. Ew, they're like way too fit. It just looks crazy.
So Kevin Von Erich, he's the one that's carrying the story. And we get introduced to Pam, who's Lily James's character. And she's like the love interest. At the beginning, I thought like that's what the movie was going to be about. Like Kevin and then this girl.
Right.
I didn't know there was going to be death. I didn't know there was going to be suicide. It's just so tragic.
Yeah, it is. It's like a really tragic story.
That's what drew me into the movie.
Definitely made it very compelling.
What did you like about the movie?
I second everything you said. It was, pretty interesting. Even just like watching Kevin's character go from like disciplined, obedient, dedicated wrestler, son, businessman to like finally seeing things for what they are. It's just so devastating. Because just think about losing like your siblings, right? Like it would be horrible. Like the worst. Like no one's had a life experience closer to you than your siblings. Like if you're in some weird wrestling family, like where you're like, they went through all their dad's bullying together. They bulked up together. They probably wrestled each other. Like they live out in a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then for you to lose every single brother, like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, I would be thinking like, what is going on? Why is there so much death surrounding our family?
He like legitimately believes in the curse because they changed their last name.
Oh,
that was a whole thing.
That's right.
They changed their last name because the last name had like some sort of association to it, and then there was like believed that the family's cursed. So every time a death happened, he was like really kind of losing it. I don't want to be around my kids because I think it'll take my kids. And that was like so sad at the end. Like towards the end of the movie, he's playing with his two sons who are like 4 and 6 or like they're little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts crying, like watching them play. And they're like, "What's wrong, Daddy?" And he's like, "I'm not a brother anymore. Like I'm sad because I'm not a brother," because he doesn't have any brothers. And the little boys, his sons, go, "We can be your brothers." It's like so fucking cute.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, way to end the movie.
One of my favorite things about it, I really, really liked when after Carrie passes and it shows the little brief heaven situation.
Yeah, I was going to say that was like my favorite scene was that dream sequence.
It was so well done.
Yeah.
And that could have gone wrong in so many ways.
It didn't feel out of place either. That was like the first time we ever got into like this surrealism fantasy. To me, it just looked so natural. Just him walking and then going on this boat, and it's like him meeting his brothers.
Yeah, and they're all together, just like, "Hey man," like just like they last saw each other.
Like they're waiting for him at the dock.
Yeah. It's so cute. You're just like, good.
Yeah, and then the little one.
Yeah, so we don't ever meet them until heaven, but they had a younger brother who died of, it wasn't like SIDS, was it?
So this is what happened. I read he got into a freak accident. So what happened was brother Jack died when he was a kid. I don't know how old he was, but what happened was he stepped on a trailer tongue, you know, the thing that hooks onto the back of a truck. He gets electrocuted, falls into melted snow, and it's like puddle, and he drowned.
What?
Yeah.
And he was the oldest.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite the story.
What a freak accident.
Yeah. Fuck.
It's like so Final Destination.
Oh, God.
So when he talks about the curse, was that like when he first met Pam? Was that like the diner?
I think that's when he first talks about it. I think before Carrie goes, that's when he starts sleeping at the business. And he's like,
the wrestling rink? Yeah.
And he kind of says something to her like, "My name's cursed. I don't want the boys around." And she's like, "Well, shut the fuck up, dude."
Right.
And then I think he kind of like accepts reality after Carrie goes, because he like literally called his dad and said, "Carrie's fucked up. He's coming there. Keep your eye out for him. Keep your eyes on him. I'm coming over."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this happened in real life the same way, but he gets there, comes out of his car. He sees Carrie's car. It's empty, but the door's open. He's like, "Carrie, where are you?" Looking around, and here's a gunshot. Carrie shot himself. And then he finds his dad, and he's like, "I told you to fucking look after him. Like, I asked you just one thing." And the guy and his dad said something like, "It's not my responsibility.
It was your fault."
He called you."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm like, you piece of shit. I feel no remorse saying this. If all your kids, at least 3 of them, kill themselves, it's 100% the parents' fault.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
They didn't protect them, nurture them, console them. Because like in real life, 3 of them killed themselves.
Yeah.
And then so 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 kids. Half of them killed themselves. Bro.
Yeah.
God knows what else happened in that home.
We don't even know about the sister either. So
Right. Is she dead?
I didn't look it up.
That was a really interesting part of the movie after it ended. And like the director talked about the family and like they all, because like Erich in the movie says, I want to like buy a house and all my brothers live together. Like we're all going to be together. And like in real life, Erich had kids and all their kids live. Kevin, I'm sorry, Von Erickson. Like they all kind of live what he wanted.
The grandchildren. And
yeah.
stuff.
And there's like a picture of like this giant family. It was really cute.
Yeah.
They looked happy, but you know, who knows?
What did you think about the mom?
I feel kind of conflicted because at the end of the day, I think there's like a really deep pain when your mother doesn't protect you. You know what I mean? There's something about like a little lack of surprise if your father isn't protecting. Like you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But your mother is like, you just like mentally, maybe because of our society and shit, but like we assign moms as like the nurturer.
Yeah.
So like the fact that she was just this kind of silent, obedient wife, but that's kind of how things were.
I was going to say, I felt like she was silenced by the dad. That's why she didn't involve herself with the kids as much, you know?
Yeah, they like couldn't take responsibility ever, the parents, because they'd also like put responsibility on other people because early into the movie, after the dad's saying stuff to like the artistic brother, so Kevin goes to the mom and he's like, hey, you gotta talk to dad. He's too hard on Mike. And she goes, that's between your father and him. And you're like, excuse me, what?
That was so shitty.
That's kind of like the vibe of the family is like when serious stuff happens, they like just like kind of throw it on someone else. So, but I like the ending. I like that at the end she's like painting again and the husband comes inside and he's like, what's for dinner? And she's like, I'm not hungry. I don't make anything.
and he's just painting.
Like, yeah. And I was like, but again, it's one of those things where it's like you'd lose almost all your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just can't even imagine. What would you feel like if you lost all of your kids and the one who's still alive like knows better and isn't talking to you guys anymore?
Yeah. I would probably feel the same way as her to the husband because she's grieving, you know?
Yeah.
When people grieve, I feel like when they get really sad, people don't want to eat, don't want to do anything. And all she wants to do is just like paint. It's very cathartic for her character.
Yeah, and there is one mention earlier when Mike is looking at a painting, or Kevin, and she's like, oh, I painted that. And they're like, what? She's like, yeah, that's the house I grew up in. And they're like, how come you've never told us, any of us? Like, they didn't even know their mom painted. And it's like part of herself that she like hid away.
Right.
What like surprised you?
I was surprised. I mean, aside from all the deaths, that was the huge surprise.
Yeah.
It was the surprise. I mean, I guess I was surprised at how little the wrestling was involved in this movie, even though it takes place in this world, but like it's not even about that.
Yeah, what a relief.
Yeah. But they did add like some very important moments that happened, like Ric Flair.
Right.
I didn't even know who that was, but apparently he was like a big wrestler back in the day, and they kept showing like clips of him. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Like the little news interviews. That was funny.
Yeah, the news stuff was so funny.
Yeah. There's
like this great scene where they're being interviewed and like he can't get it.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna I got something to tell you. I'm gonna take I know, now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, they're like war wrestling scenes.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Kevin's character. His dad was such a dick.
Well, I felt bad for a lot of the brothers.
Absolutely. But Kevin was the one who was like...
He was like the survivor.
And the whole time, he was the one who like wanted it, you know? He wanted to... like the whole time, he was like, I'm here. I will do this. This is my life. This is what matters to me.
That's true.
And the dad would kind of like pick the other brothers.
Right.
Which, no offense to them.
So... Wait, David and Carrie didn't want to get into wrestling?
I think it was like clear that David knew Kevin wanted it the most. That's what the vibe I got. Carrie was going to do Olympic track.
Right.
He was like practicing shot put, like, and then the Olympics got canceled because the US wasn't going to participate in the Olympics because of
some protest, right? Or something.
Yeah, it was something. I think it was Russia invading Afghanistan or something. I think it was Russia had invaded some country. I don't know. I could be getting this all, but it had something to do with like we were standing in solidarity, and so it was like, all right, Carrie, you're not going to the Olympics. Go home.
Right.
I think he just wanted to be a winner.
Yeah. When he shows up back at the house and you can tell like he feels like he let down his dad.
Cause he doesn't even, there's not a conversation of like, so sorry, Carrie, like you've been training so hard. I'm so sorry. This is like he comes home and he goes, I'm so sorry, Dad. Cause it's like, it's the dad losing this. It's not him. Mm-hmm. It's the dad. Everything's the fucking dad. Did you ever play sports?
No, I wasn't a athletic person. I was the artsy one. I was Mike. Let's go back to David. He's the second oldest. He was married, apparently.
David was? Interesting.
But I feel like they didn't show that in the movie.
No.
But yeah, he was married when he unalived.
So that part, there is a scene where you see David shooting up steroids in his butt. And I was like, okay. They're like, because I was like trying to figure out, because I knew steroids didn't get like as negative, serious, blah, blah, blah until like the past couple decades. But it wasn't like back then. It was a little bit more like whatever. And so he was doing that because you like have to bulk up quick. Doesn't The Rock eat like 6,000 calories a day?
Oh my God, that's like a lot.
Yeah, but then he like works out for 2 hours. Like it's just a whole thing, that whole world. Who knows what the fuck Zac Efron was doing because he's like insane in the movie. Anyway, so the brother's like, he's like becoming pretty successful. So he's like trying to move faster. And he kind of like out successes Kevin. And it's also kind of like a chance. And David's better on stage. So David can like talk to a crowd better than Kevin can. Kevin's kind of got like, he's not a great speaker. That's kind of the big issue with him.
Right.
And he doesn't speak up a lot too, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin gets married and then it shows David like throwing up blood in the bathroom. I was like, dude.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
I had a feeling he was going to die.
That was when he started puking blood. I was like, is that blood or is that vomit? And I was like, oh shit. Ooh, great effects. No, that's when my attention to the movie
came back.
Shift. Yeah, I was like, what's going on?
Ooh, blood.
I was like, now we're getting somewhere.
Turns into a murder mystery. And then I didn't expect him to die so quickly, though. I was like, oh, man.
Because, okay, so he goes overseas, I think Japan, right?
Yes.
He ends up dying in a hotel room. So the autopsy said that he had like an enteritis. Like ruptured organ?
Yeah,
something with the intestine.
Yeah.
But there were also claims that it was overdose, drug overdose.
From the steroids. He was probably taking painkillers, right? Wasn't that potentially?
That's what he was shooting up?
He's shooting up steroids, but he's shooting up the steroids so his body, it's like, human growth hormone.
Yeah.
For his body's like in a fake way becoming more muscular and bigger. When you overdo it, you can punch someone and it can cause them to have, what is it called?
Gangrene.
No, what's it called when you like internally bleed?
Gangrene.
No.
Ebola.
Oh my God, no. Whatever. I know. I'm like going to remember the word when we're done recording. But yeah, it's like dangerous. Like you don't actually become stronger in all these things. Your body's like fucked up.
Yeah.
And he was in wrestling and he's taking punches and whatever hits all over his body and not properly recovering. He's like shooting up, probably taking painkillers because something's got to help with like just getting the shit beat out of you.
Yeah. Says Carrie was doing the painkillers.
Yeah, he does. After he gets, his amputation.
That was so, when they show that, the whole audience like gasped.
Yeah. So in real life, he did hide it and people didn't know.
Oh. So like in the movie when he was like
hiding it.
Yeah.
He was really hiding it. I mean, that is so, because they probably wouldn't have even let him wrestle.
What happened was after the death of David, Carrie gets drunk.
And he wins the title.
Oh.
He wins like the top title, like the belt. But David is dead already, yeah.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was grieving the loss of David. But no, it's because he got the belt.
Kevin lost to Ric Flair, and then Ric Flair wanted a rematch, and they put Kerry in it because they flipped a coin.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So anyways, he gets drunk and he goes on a motorcycle and he gets into an accident, which I knew was going to happen once he started like speeding on that highway. And at that part, I was like, this is so intense because like the sound of the motorcycle just gets louder and louder, and you're just watching like the lines on the road just yeah, it was fucking scary.
It was really, really intense. It was just like, you just knew. Cuts to black, and then it's like he's got crutches and he's going to the kitchen and he steps into frame and he's only got 1 foot, and everyone's like
right. I mean, when he killed himself, Kevin showed up right at that moment.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I'm like, okay, that just felt like on the nose.
I don't know. I really don't know, because it definitely like makes for a good movie. Sean Durkin, is that the filmmaker? Mm-hmm. Since he like talked to Kevin Von Erichsen or whatever in real life. How do you say his name?
Von Erich.
Okay, Von Erich. Since he talked to him in real life and everything, I'm like, would that be chill? If he's like, oh, I'm gonna change it so like you walk up right when your brother Kerry kills himself.
Right, to move the movie.
Yeah, and maybe he'd be like, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
And I wonder if he did use his dad's gun that he gave him for Christmas.
Oh yeah, that part. Yeah. Oof.
Did we talk about the spooky scenes?
No.
Didn't you say like their ghosts show up in the background?
Yes, David's does. Yeah, and you didn't notice. And I thought you did, and I was like, oh no. There's a scene where it shows
the mom.
The mom is watching the television, and Kevin and Kerry are fighting, or one of them's.
Yeah, in the wrestling.
Some big match. And the mom's at home alone watching. And behind her on the staircase, if you look, David's sitting on the stairs watching.
Spooky. So eerie.
He's always out of focus. And at first I was like, oh, there's a guy. And I was like, oh, is that Mikey? And I'm like, why is he like sitting on the stairs watching? You know, I'm like, oh no, that's definitely, that's the brother. And then the mom turns around to like look toward the stairs, and he's not there anymore.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. I need to rewatch that just for that scene. Cause
I know. I'm like, maybe there were like other moments. I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of like Haunting of Hill House.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I wonder if like their ghosts appear anywhere else in the movie.
Right. Like the younger brother.
Yeah. And
even if, well, I was going to say Kerry, I feel like Kerry's death is like so toward the end. I was really sad too. Like Kevin picks up Kerry's body and like brings it to the kitchen table, and it's just like, oof.
Yeah. And then we get that dream sequence.
And he's got his feet.
Yeah. So then after Kerry passes, Mike is now pressured by his dad to continue the wrestling thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a piece of shit. He didn't even want to do it.
Mike was before Kerry.
No.
Mike the artist?
Oh, wait. That's true.
Because he's with David.
That's right.
Dude, Mike's stuff was like also incredibly so sad. His whole thing. Because he got the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah.
And it like concussed him.
Yeah, so he has to end up doing wrestling because Kerry can't do it. That's why he's there.
David.
No, Kerry. Mike.
Because Kerry's at the Olympics?
No.
Because David's dead.
No, Kerry lost his leg. He can't play anymore.
No, because Kerry keeps playing. Oh, but he goes
tried.
pro. No, he goes pro. Remember?
Until he lost his leg.
No, but he keeps wrestling. He keeps wrestling and doesn't tell anyone he doesn't have a leg. That's when he gets addicted to painkillers.
But in between that, Mike kills himself.
Mike finally gets to like, okay, daddy's making you wrestle. And he's kind of new. He's kind of like starting to get the hang of it, it seems like.
Right.
I don't know what exactly it was, but he gets like he gets put in a coma. And then I don't know if the insinuation afterward was like he has brain damage because he can like.
It was shock syndrome that like made him in a coma.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he like busted his shoulder and then they had to do surgery, but like during surgery they like fucked up.
Oh no.
That's what happened. So he couldn't even play anymore.
Damn. Cause yeah, then he like writes a letter and takes all his pills and grabs a blanket and a flashlight and goes and dies like under a tree.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, he grabs a sleeping bag and a flashlight and a pillow.
Oh, right. He goes out in the field.
Somewhere, yeah. Dies peacefully or whatever.
Wow.
Really sad.
See, you guys, this is a heavy ass movie. I can't believe we're even talking about this.
You know what? This kind of reminds me of Crossroads because her dad like wants to control what she does and stuff.
Yeah, except she doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It's like complete opposite.
The Iron Claw and Crossroads are more similar than they are different. JK.
Did you have any dislikes?
No. I liked all the music. I liked everything about it. I don't think I have a dislike. I do want to see it a second time, but I think I would maybe have more criticism if I knew the story of the Von Erichs. But like if I were watching it just as a movie, I think it's great.
Yeah. For me, it was just like the beginning stuff, but that was just because I was nauseous. It was the shaky camera work for me. Also, I hated the dad.
Yeah.
So, did you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I hope Zachy Boy gets a nom. I think he did a really great job, especially looking at all the contenders this year. And I think it was a really good movie. I think it could be nominated for screenplay.
Yeah. Is it adapted screenplay because it's biopic?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I might be wrong, but yeah, that's kind of it. I think like I've been telling people to, see it and stuff. How about you? What are your final thoughts?
I thought it was a really good movie and I think everyone should see this. I probably should check out the director's other films because seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, I want to see The Nest, but yeah, I've seen the other one. I liked a lot.
Seems like a really cool guy. He was very, very chill at the Q&A.
Very like humble. I'm sitting here like, damn, dude, great movie.
Yeah, we were literally like fourth row.
Gosh.
I was like, what is this, IMAX? So close.
It's
to
like
the
funny.
screen.
It's just like a regular 35mm theater too.
I give this 3 onions.
Okay. I'm going to give this 4 onions.
Cool. No, I agree with you. I'm giving it 3 because of my beginning experience. I need to watch it again to like actually.
I'd be curious after a second viewing if I'd bring it to 5, but yeah.
Well, that's the Iron Claw. Iron Claw. Yeah, if you liked this episode, let us know your thoughts on the film. Well, that's the end of this episode. Where can we find you, Brittany?
You can find me at humble_book_review on Instagram or Britty_gusto. And where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at somecallme_Ricky. And if you liked this episode, follow us on Paper Screen Podcasts on Instagram and YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And on that note,
Bye.